Okay, hello everyone again. This is Chris. Today we are going to concentrate on making a hidden hinge. That is probably one of the most popular hinges for mini albums. The one that most people do. There are several others, but this is the one we're going to do today. So, what did I do here? Where am I? Okay. All right, so this is what the hidden hinge looks like from this angle. It has all these hinges that stick up. It's going to fit right across here like this. Only it's going to be the full length of the spine here. So it's going to fit across there like that. And it looks like so. Okay? Now, to make the hidden hinge for this particular album, I am going to have 3/8 of an inch in between each hinge. That's what's going to be sitting flat on the album, like this. The hinges are made out of 1/2 inch up, 1/2 inch down, so 1 inch. But we're going to score it in the middle, so we can have 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Okay? So for this particular one, we are going to need 8.5 inches going 8.5 inches going this way to make the 2-inch spine hinge. And it's going to need to be 1/4 inch shorter than the album itself. So if our album is 7 inches, we're going to make it 6 3/4 inches. I'm using the same white recollection paper for the hinge, and I'll use the same paper also for the pages. So we're going to cut it this way, the long way, 6 3/4 inches. And of course that falls right at where I don't have markings. So I'm going to just make sure here that I have it at 6 3/4 inches. Oops, that's 6 1/2. Okay, so right there is 6 3/4 inches. And I will cut that. And then we needed 8.5 inches. So since this paper is 8.5 by 11, I now have an 8.5 by 6 3/4 piece of paper. Then we are going to go and score it. Now our first score line is going to be at 1 inch. Okay, everybody see where I'm at? We're going to score at 1 inch. The length of the 6 3/4. Okay, this is the 8.5 this way. All right, now I'm going to write these down as I do them, and then I will hold them up and show them to you so that you can write them down if you need to. But I'm also going to tell you a real easy way to do it without having to know what the marks are. So at 1 inch, we're going to score. At 1 1/2 inches, we're going to score. inches we're going to score. That gives us our first page and 1 inch to lay on the album so that it's going to cross this seam right here. We don't want anything to end at that seam. We want it to go across that seam. So I gave myself the 1 inch on the end, and then 1.5 and 2 are the first page. Then we're going to need to go 3/8 of an inch. So this is the easy way of knowing where the next line goes without having to know the exact ruler measurements. Your scoring board is marked out in 1/8 inch notches. So this number 2 is where the last line we did was. We're going to count 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that will give us our hidden hinge. Now, let me just go back over this. We have it at 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 2 3/8 inches, 2 7/8 inches, 1, I have to turn this so I can see where my lines are. 1, 1.5, 2, 2 3/8, 2 3/8, 2 7/8, 3 3/8, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/8, 5 5/8, 6 1/8, 6 1/2, 7, and 7.5. And let me check those one more time. 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 3/8, 2 7/8, 3 3/8, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/8, 5 5/8, 6 1/8, 6 1/2, 7 7 1/2. Okay, so let me just hold this up here for a few minutes, give you a chance to pause your camera or pause your computer and write them down, and then we'll start up again. Okay? But remember, you're going to do a 1 inch, 2 at 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 2 at 1/2, 1 3/8, 2 at 1/2, 1 3/8, 2 1/2, 1 3/8, 2 1/2. Now, I hope that I didn't just confuse everybody. I'm saying 1 3/8. I mean 1 space at 3/8. Okay? Sorry, I got halfway through and realized what I was saying, and it could possibly confuse somebody. But you'll have 2 1/2, 1 at 3/8. And so for all the way across to 7 1/2 inches. The last inch will go on, it will be this side right here. Okay? Now, if you got confused or lost me, go back and watch it a couple of times, or ask me questions in the comment section. Now, I'm going to turn it over, and you can see the lines on the back side. And you'll be able to see, let me see if I can get this to show up here. Okay, see the lines there? You're going to look for wherever there are 2 1/2 inch sections together. And at the very bottom of the first of the 2 1/2 inch sections, you're going to put a piece of score tape. Then you're going to move up to the next 2 1/2 inch spaces. You're going to skip a 1/2 inch space, you're going to skip a 3/8 inch space, and you have 2 more 1/2 inch sections together. So at the very bottom of the first one, you again are going to put score tape. And you're going to do that all the way up. Skip the 1/2 inch section, skip the 3/8 inch section. You have 2 more 1/2 inch sections together. The bottom of the first 1/2 inch section, you put the score tape. Again, you're going to skip the second 1/2 inch section, the 3/8 inch section, and you've got the first 1/2 inch section where there are 2 together. And you're going to place the score tape. And we have one more to do. We skip the 1/2 inch section, we skip the 3/8 inch section. You have 2 1/2 inch sections together. the bottom of the first 1/2 inch section, you're going to put your score tape. Alright, so then it is going to look like this. I'm trying to hold it so that the light will show the folds or the crease lines. And that's what you should look like at this point. Okay? So now we're going to take and we're going to fold the first 1/2 inch section, crease it, make sure that it is straight top and bottom, that this part here is straight top and bottom. Then you're going to come back and you're going to go ahead and take the paper off of that one, and you're going to press it down. Then you can fold this back on the crease line, and this is what you have so far. This will go folded up like this. So we have one standing up, like so. All the rest are still laying flat. Then you're going to take the next one, and in the center of the 2 1/2 inch sections, you're going to fold it over and crease it. Then you can fold it back, take the tape off, fold it over, and stick it down. Then we can take this part here, because we have a 3/8 inch section here that's not taped down, and we're going to fold it up on that. And be careful with each fold to try and make sure that you have it just as straight as you can get it, because it's not going to set right. And then we're just going to fold this like this on each side of the 3/8 inch section. So as you see here, we have the 3/8 inch section here and a 3/8 inch section here, and there's one page there and one page there. Just fold them and play with them until they're sitting neat like you want them, so that you know that each page is going to lay flat, sit in the book flat. Okay, and it just makes it easier to work along as you, if you fold it as you go. Now, we're going to take this one here, and we're going to fold it in the middle of the 2 1/2 inch sections. We're going to take the tape off, press it down, press that 3/8 inch section that way, and this one goes this way. So you see, now we have 3 pages. Three hidden hinges. Take the 2 1/2 inch sections, crease it, take the paper off, press it down, and do the creases on either side of the 3/8 inch section. Okay, we've got one more to do. And I just folded that the wrong way. Did you see that? Okay. We're going to take the tape off. We're going to press it down. And we're going to complete our creases on our 3/8 inch sections. Now, I generally do this just so that I know that everything is straight and creased. Not necessarily a necessary step, but I like to do it. All right, so I'm going to take my 2 hinges here on whichever end you want to do. You can start at whichever end. I'll start at the front. So we have the first hinge and the second hinge. I'm going to open them up like this, and I'm going to just give it a press. Then I'm going to take 2 and 3, give it a press. And I'm going to take 3 and 4, give it a press. And I'm going to take 4 and 5 and give it a press. So now you know that you have all of your hinges that will stand up beautifully, that will fold either way without binding, and it looks like this. And it is going to fit here just like this. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, then the next step is we want to adhere this to the book cover. Now, I happen to have some 1-inch score tape here. So I'm going to use my 1-inch score tape. If you only had 1/4 inch, if you only had 1/2 inch, if you only had 3/8 inch, you can use whatever size that you have. But you are going to want to cover this entire back side. See, the hinges are on the bottom. You're going to want to cover this entire back side with score tape. So I will start here. The next one will lay right next to that one. Now I'm going from top to bottom. That's not exactly absolutely necessary. You could go from side to side if you wanted to. And some people don't feel that it's necessary to cover the entire thing. But I have found that if I don't cover the entire thing with score tape, that it has a tendency to lift up in certain places. Now, I have just a tiny little amount here along this edge that another 1-inch piece is going to be too much. I'm just going to pull the paper back on this just a little bit because it's wider here than it is down here, but I want to get the score tape all the way across there. So I'm going to start down here like this. And then you can just kind of lay that back down there for a minute. And this is what it will look like on the back side of the hinges. Hinges are here, score tape is here. This will hold this entire piece down to the binding of your album so that it doesn't pop loose anywhere. So you're going to take your album, and before we put it in the album, this is an important step. You're going to fold it back like this so that you have your hinge right here, and the rest of that's just down there. You're going to take and you're going to cut off about 1/8 of an inch, an angle, that side. And you're going to do the same thing with the other side, just on the hinge part, not on the center sections, just so that it's like that. Okay, you're going to do that on each one of the hinges, just about 1/8 of an inch. And the reason that we're doing this is when we make the pages, it's going to slip over these hinges. And if it's a real tight fit, then this allows you a little bit of wiggle room to get that page on there straight without sticking before you want it to stick. Okay? So we're just going to cut off 1/8 of an inch on each of the page hinges. And one more. Okay, you're not going to do it on this end or here or down here. You're just going to do it on the hinges, and that's what it will end up looking like. Okay? Now we can take and put it in the book. First, I'm going to take the paper off. Okay, now, before you take the paper off, which I forgot to do, we're going to take and we're going to mark 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom and 1/8 of an inch down from the top. Just on the spine section, just a little tiny dot. That's going to help us center it on there. So you're going to take it and kind of curl it up like this and hold it like this so that everything doesn't stick at once. Then you're going to want to line up hold on. I also need to know where the center of the spine is. Okay, so I've marked it at 1 inch. All right, now fold this up so that the sticky side is on the outside. We're going to line up hinge number 3, this one right here. It falls in the middle Okay, we're going to line that hinge up with the middle line that we marked on the cover. And with the 1/8 inch, or yeah, 1/8 inch line that we have, so that it's down from the top. Now, without letting go of this, I just pressed it down so very lightly. I'm going to come down here and make sure that this side is also lined up. Then once you get it down there, you just crease all of the, press all of the, and would you look at that, I got it crooked. I'll be darned. Oh, that makes me angry every time I do that. There's nothing I can do about it now. You cannot pull that score tape back up. So, my pages are going to be ever so slightly crooked in my album. Take your time at that step. Look top and bottom, back and forth. Don't do what I did and end up placing it down there crooked, because it will look better if it's all perfectly straight. So you can see here at the top that it is crooked on there. Not by a whole lot. We may be able to adjust our pages up or down on the hinge so that the pages are straight across. And since this is called a hidden hinge, it will be hidden. You won't see this hinge. So you may have to just adjust your pages up and down. You can also see on the bottom that it is ever so slightly crooked. Okay, then you're going to press where your seam is, where your cover ends, there and there, and fold it up. And again, nothing will tear, nothing will split, as long as you're using the recollection paper. I did have one question asked yesterday, that if it would be all right to use a heavier weight paper. I can't answer that question definitely. I just know that no matter what weight paper, and I have used heavier and I've used lighter, no matter what I use, I always end up getting a split in it unless I've used the recollection paper. So I just make it an absolute. That's what I use every time. That's not to say that it absolutely has to be, but I would say I'd be taking my chances by using something other than the recollection paper. And I don't want to do that because I'm going to put too much work into this album. So for the next step, we're going to measure, and you'll notice that you have approximately, now if it had been straight, you have approximately 3/8 of an inch here and approximately 3/8 of an inch here between the hinge and the cover and the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure from the crease. Now remember, we said we didn't want anything to end or start at the crease. So we're going to go approximately 1/8 of an inch short. If you measure from the crease exactly, I have 6 inches. I'm going to cut this piece of paper that fits on here at 5 3/4 inches. And I'm going to cut it at 6 3/4 inches. Now the front and the back are exactly the same, so I need 2 sheets of paper that are 5 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, which is going to take 2 sheets of the 8.5 by 11, because if you try and cut it in half, you don't have 5 3/4, you've got 5 1/2. And that does kind of make a difference. I like my pages to be the right size. So I'm going to take one and I'm going to cut it at 6 3/4 inches. And at 5 3/4 inches. And I will cut the next one. Okay, so those are going to go here and here. Then they give us an almost completed finished look. It's 1/8 of an inch from the edges on these 3 sides and 1/8 of an inch from the crease for the back cover. Okay, so then we're going to take and we're going to tape it down. I'm just going to use my ATG gun. It will hold the 2 pages together quite nicely. And I would suggest when lining them up, you line it up with the outside edge and the top and the bottom. That's what's going to show more than the inside edge next to the spine. So you want to make your outer edges that are going to show straight. Okay, so there we have the basic frame of our mini album. We have a 5-page tab, hidden hinge tab, whatever you want to call it. You have the room for 5 pages. There's 3/8 of an inch in between them. The hinges are 1/2 an inch tall. I showed you the score marks for the hinge or you can count it out, each one, 2 at 4/8 inch marks and 1 at 3/8 inch. Then 2 at 4/8, 1 at 3 inch, or 3/8, excuse me. Okay, so you should have had time to freeze that if you didn't get it the first time. And I am going to say I'm a little disappointed with this. My hinges are crooked, definitely crooked. And it's probably going to show in my book. I will show you ways to hide it because I'm not going to go and make another one. Unless I can't stand it tonight. I may go and start all over and end up at this point again. But that's just one of the things that you have problems with. That's going to be probably your hardest step. So anyway, we're going to stop there for today. That is how to make the hidden hinge. And I hope everything was clear for everybody. Like I said, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment in the comment section, or just keep pausing and going backwards and watching the video again until hopefully it will click for you. So everybody have a good day, be crafty, and I love you.